Hey there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Cutter Top 10 World Cup video. And today we're going to be looking at the top 10 World Cup semifinals in history. We're down to the final four, and hopefully everything works out for the best. And we'll see who wins the title. It is pretty impressive. So, anyway, let's get going. All right. Number 10 is Argentina 3, Croatia 0 in 2022. So Argentina and Croatia were trying their best to go after the title. After all, Croatia were the defending runners-up in 2018, and Argentina were trying to do something, get to the final for time since 2014. So anyway, Leo Messi scored a penalty, and then he decided to hog the ball, pass the ball to Julian Alvarez to put the ball into the net, and Argentina would beat Croatia 3-0, get themselves to the final, which they would then beat France in, but it was just amazing. Number 9 is France 1, Belgium 0, 2018. This was a key matchup in the sense of the word. Belgium were trying hard to get people to realize how good they were, and they weren't underachievers slash overrated. So Belgium went through the group stage fine, and then they took on their eternal rivals, France. France and Belgium always have to have strange World Cup matches against each other, including 1986. But anyway, Belgium's golden generation was trying to beat France and get to the final. Unfortunately, Samuel Titi, that is his name, put up a massive header, and France ended up winning the game 1-0, going to the World Cup final against Croatia and beating them. I think I did. Number 8 is Croatia 2, England 1, 2018. So, in essence, the second semifinal in 2018 was just as big. France needed to know who their opponent was. It was either going to be Croatia or England. Croatia trying to get to the first finals in their country's history after splitting up from Yugoslavia, and England were trying to prove themselves after 52 years away from the final. England was up 1-0, and it looked like they were going to win. And we would have a France-England final, which would actually be kind of awkward. Nevertheless, Croatia put up a goal by Ivan Perisic, and then in extra time, Mario Mandzukic scored, giving Croatia the matchup with France, sending England to third place against Belgium. And unfortunately for them, Belgium will end up winning the game. So that's just how it went. Number 7 is Brazil and Holland in the penalty shootout in 1998. The other semifinal in 1998 could have easily made this list, but it didn't, because France beat Croatia 1-0 to get their trip to the finals on home soil. Of course, the Croatian player kind of play acted and got Laurent Blanc, the man who was the hero for France, being part of going the round 16 on a golden goal, actually red carded and meaning that he couldn't compete in the final. But anyway, Brazil and Holland were battling tooth and nail. Holland won a famous quarterfinal as Frank de Boer's long pass to Dennis Bergkamp made it 2-1. Holland beat Argentina. Of course, that would be great for England fans because Argentina beat them in the round 16. So Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, and Patrick Kluivert both scored goals, and then Brazil went through penalties and won 4-2 on penalties, meaning they were going to the final against France, which they would lose thanks to Ronaldo's epileptic fit. Number 6, Brazil 5, France 2, 1958. So Brazil and France were in a great battle with each other. France had Jules Fontaine, who was putting up goals like there was no tomorrow, and Brazil had a great team with Fafa, Garrincha, and a teenage Pele. Funny. Pele would get the last laugh, scoring a hat trick as he outscored France by himself in the semifinals. Fontaine would go off on West Germany in the third place game, getting himself up to 13 goals, the most in a World Cup tournament to this day. And then, Brazil took on Sweden and beat them thanks to the teenage Pele. Number 5 is West Germany 1, England 1, 1990. Of course, it ended in penalties. So West Germany were looking pretty intense, trying to get back to the final after they lost in 1986. And England were putting on a decent display in 1990, although they played in one of the most dull groups of all time, with all but one game with England, Holland, Egypt, and Ireland in that group. Only one game ended up in a result, and that was England beating Egypt. That was the epitome of slow playing soccer. So England took out Belgium, although they had to go the extra time to do so, and then they took out Cameroon, even though they had to come back from 2-1 down. So England were living life dangerously. Paul Parker was in the wall, but unfortunately the free kick hit him and went into the net. England did tie it on a Gary Lineker goal, because of course they did. Extra time, Beckett and Paul Gascoigne had a seemingly innocent foul on the German player. He was given a yellow card. Unfortunately, because this was the second yellow card of the knockout stages, Gaza would have to sit out the final, and then he started crying, blubbering, and then off to the right, thinking he was out of frame, but he wasn't, was Gary Lineker giving the thing, basically telling Bobby Robson, the manager of England, to keep an eye on Gaza. Germany would take on England in the penalty shootout. England missed a couple key penalties, and this was the start of England's bad luck on penalties. Number 4 is Germany, Italy 2006. So Germany were hosting the 2006 World Cup. They were looking pretty good. They wanted to make the finals on their own turf. They would take on Italy, who actually were dealing with a domestic problem, the Calciopoli, basically the scandal that rocked Serie A, the Italian league, and a lot of things because of the mafia getting involved, and also owners of teams. Anyway, Italy made it to the Final Four against Germany, and this was big. Germany and Italy tied 0-0, and then in extra time, there was a seemingly innocent shot deflection, and then Fabio Grosso, of all people, number 3, who rarely scored, well, he was a defender, scored the perfect goal, and the Italian announcer goes nuts. Gol di Grasso, gol di Grasso, gol di Grasso. And then Alexandro Del Piero made it 2-0 to ice the game. Italy were going to the finals against France. In the other semifinal, France beat Portugal on a Zidane penalty, and of course, Italy, France, you kind of know what's happening. I don't need to tell you. Number 3 is Brazil, Germany 2014. I know you're going to say this is the stupidest thing. They're that low. But there's a reason they're that low. Because the other two were epic. So, anyway, there will be a theme for the top 3. So, Brazil were hosting the World Cup. They were expected to win and all that. The Simpsons predicted them to lose to Germany in the final, with Homer not taking a bribe and basically telling the Brazilian player, no penalty. Anyway, they were looking big. Unfortunately, though, their quarterfinal against Uruguay looked pretty. Colombia, excuse me, looked pretty bad as one of the Colombian defenders kneed Neymar into the spine, and Neymar was basically out. And it didn't help that Thiago Silva, the captain, was booked, meaning that he couldn't play in the semi. Deutschland were doing decently themselves in 2014, and then Germany took on Brazil. Germany would score 5 goals. Yes, that's right, 5 goals in 29 minutes, including Miro Klose's goal that made him become, at that time, the highest scoring player in World Cup history. But now we know it's Leo. So anyway, Germany did their job, and Brazil just had nothing going. Their defense sucked. They had no clear-cut plan. It was basically they were riding too much on Neymar and Thiago Silva. So Germany won the game 7-1. I even I even went only I only could watch the first half of Germany Brazil before I went to work and all that. But yeah, Germany beat Brazil, and it was just shocking. Brazil did play for third place, obviously, but got taken out by the Dutch 3-0, and basically Brazil took a bath in financial insecurity, especially with Rio 2016. Number two, West Germany and France 1982. Back to West Germany now. Back to Germany. So Germany and France were playing each other. They both had tight matchups getting into the semifinals. The Germans were looking epic to France. Of course, this game is remembered for one major thing. Patrick Baduston coming in as a substitution was then having to be substituted himself. Not because of poor play, but the fact that he was going for a ball and the German goalie well, Tony Schumacher went for it and then collided with Badiston. It seemed like it was done on purpose that he went for the player, not the ball. And what does the referee give? A freaking goal kick. No foul on Schumacher, not even a yellow card. He continued on. Germany and France would have a 3-3 epic. They went to the first World Cup penalty shootout. And Germany won on penalties 5-4. France were crestfallen and angry that West Germany kind of got away with it. However, karma bit them in the ass. Well, bit West Germany in the ass as Italy won that famous 1982 final. And finally, number one is Italy 4, West Germany 3, 1970. I told you there would be a theme. Germany was in the first, actually in the first four. No, the first five. It's not for my love of German football. It's just the fact that it just happened. But this game was known as the game of the century. West Germany actually had to beat England in the quarterfinals on an epic play. They were down 2-0 England. England took out a couple of people resting for the semifinals against what would have been Italy. But then they beat England thanks to timely goals and Peter Banani being in the net, not Gordon Banks, because Banks had Mexican tummy. They would battle. There would be 5 goals in extra time, of course. Remember, in 30 minutes, you score as many goals as possible. Italy beat West Germany 4-3, and of course, Beckenbauer actually had to have his arm in a sling because of an injury, and they had no substitutes left. In 1974, he would lead West Germany to the title. So it was an epic battle, and everyone knows that semifinals are just that damn good. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond at 2.